Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of r/Entitled People. Today we'll be taking a look at one story, in which a daughter screams at EMTs for trying to save her dying father. And this whole thing actually gets pretty weird, and we'll be doing a bit of speculation at the end of the story as well. So let's jump into it, and feel free to subscribe if you want to see more daily Reddit stories. This one's called, EMTs Get Screamed At by Daughter Because We Saved Her Father's Life. A bit of context. I live in Italy, and EMT services here can be undertaken even by civilians after they followed the specific course, which consists of both theoretical and practical lessons, as well as field training and 2 separate exams that have a percentage of failure of greater than 50%. It is quite hard indeed, as it should be. I've been a volunteer since I was 14, and after 4 years, I finally had the possibility to become an EMT volunteer. I'm 26 now, so I have quite a good experience, even though I'm still considered to be the most inexperienced one in my usual team. I don't know which one is the correct term in English, my bad. I used to be the corpsman, but since last year, I happen to be the supervisor 99% of the time. This story is still branded in my mind as it only happened today in the early morning. So me and my other colleagues were on shift that night, from midnight to 7 a.m. At roughly 6 a.m., we get a call, the only one we had that night. Yes, we got the chance to sleep. When a person needs an ambulance, he or she calls 112. The 112 operator then gathers all the info he can and sends them to the closest departments needed. Ambulance, fire department, or police station. Just one or more, depending on the situation. We receive a mail in just a few seconds and a printed version, and the alarm in our facility goes off. So even if you're the heaviest sleeper on Earth, you will wake up. That alarm could wake up even the dead. The paper was terrifying. Old man, unconscious, not breathing, fell from the stairs. Needless to say, we run to the ambulance and took off as fast as we could. When we arrive, we're in a small independent house and a middle-aged woman in her late 40s/early 50s is waiting for us. I ask her for information while my driver and corpsman rush to the man to check on him and get everything started. She said he used some sleeping pills. He must have felt thirsty or maybe needed to go to the bathroom and didn't turn the lights on and fell from the stairs. We went inside and I found an old man in his mid-60s laying on the ground, a deep cut on his head, one on his forehead, and bruises all over his body. He surely did fall from the stairs, no doubt there. I tried to wake him up by calling his name, verbal stimulation, and then giving him some buffs on the cheek and even pinching his nipple hard, pain stimulation. Nothing. Checked for breathing, and there was none. At the same time, the monitor that gives us info like saturation, cardiac activity, blood pressure, etc., gave us the flat line. No pulse, no blood pressure, a saturation level that was below my own shoes level, nothing. We started all the procedures. Since it only takes 2 people to form BLSD maneuvers, the driver brought the woman into another room, as it's best to have the least number of people around, for safety reasons. I called 112 back to tell them we started the procedure, and to send medical personnel at once, as they are the only one allowed to administer medicines and perform advanced maneuvers. We just started performing CPR, and I just finished sticking the electrodes on the man's body when the woman came back, screaming at us. "What the F are you doing to my dad? Leave him be, you'll kill him." I respond, "What? We're trying to resuscitate him. He doesn't have any pathology or built-in device that could kill him." And she says, "Do not resuscitate him." Lady, we must try to. Not only is this the best option, but it's also mandatory for us to try. We could be arrested. Woman cuts him off. "I don't care. Don't you even dare touch him." And the driver says, "But why?" "Because he's my father and I can decide what to do, and you can't resuscitate him unless I say so." "No, you can't decide that. We will do what we have to do and try to save him. You can't stop us or we will have to have you arrested for attempted murder. Now back off. This is your final warning." 8 years of being an EMT and 1 year as a supervisor gave me quite an authoritative voice. She finally backed off and quit screaming. Note that we initiated BLSD nonetheless, while our driver was doing his best to keep that poor excuse for a human being away from us, even because touching something while electricity is being discharged into it can be quite a mistake, let's say. The woman continues, "He is dead. Dead. You can't do it. Leave him alone." My driver finally brought her into the other room, as he is the biggest of us and can be a rather intimidating presence, given he's 2 meters tall and is an amateur bodybuilder. After 3 discharges, the doctors and police finally arrived. Something probably didn't click right in the 112 operator's mind when he talked with the man's daughter. After the 4th discharge, we had a return of spontaneous circulation, the second one I ever witnessed. Of course, the man was not entirely okay. Even if he opened his eyes, he couldn't do much more than panting heavily and ranting in pain. CPR can save a man's life, but often some ribs will end up broken due to the pressure that comes from external compressions. The doctor and the nurse then started doing their stuff, so I went my way to talk with the officers about the woman's behavior. I say, "Hey man, can I talk to you for a second?" The officer responds, "Sure." We went to a separate room and I described him all that happened. Our arrival, the daughter talking about how he fell from the stairs, her sudden outburst, everything. He thanked me and gave me his number in case I remembered any other details. After a few minutes, the doctor comes in and asks my colleagues to bring the stretcher in and take the old man in the ambulance, but asked me to stay. He then started asking me a ton of questions about how we found him, in what position, if we noticed anything else, as well as a copy of my form about him. When he was done reading, he told us that there was no way he could have even walked on his own, as he was using really heavy sleeping pills. It was basically like saying that someone who just underwent total anesthesia suddenly woke up and started playing chess. I'm not a doctor, so when I wrote down the pills he used, I didn't pay any attention, as I was more worried about the man's life. Something must have brought him to those stairs. There was no other way. The police officers immediately handcuffed the woman and proceeded reading her rights. As she was the only person in that house, she was basically the only suspect. That's when she started screaming, kicking, spitting, and even tried to run away to no avail. In 8 years, I've seen more than my fair share of crap, including several heart attacks, strokes, suicides, and even a homicide of a young boy. But I never heard or saw anything like this. Not even from those who've been EMT volunteers for over 40 years. We were shocked, to say the least. But in the end, we still managed to save a man's life. Damn guys, this is kinda crazy. It certainly looks like this woman was trying to kill her father, and she only called an ambulance to help make it look like she was trying to save him after his quote-unquote accident. So she must have drugged him up with sleeping pills and proceeded to push him down the stairs. And when the EMT started working on him, she realized that he might actually survive and she didn't do a good enough job. So that's why she had that outburst and told them they couldn't do anything without her permission. She was just panicking at that point, trying to save her own skin, because she knew she was screwed at that point. I wonder whatever came of this situation. The way I see it, hopefully once this guy recovered, he was able to tell authorities what happened and this woman got prosecuted for attempted murder, but at the same time, he was also on heavy sleeping pills, so chances are he might not even have been conscious for this whole thing. But maybe just the fact that the daughter was the only person present was enough evidence. Who knows? But down here in the comments, this guy said, "I'm so glad you guys were there to protect that poor man from his deranged daughter." But OP responded, "Well, there is still no evidence at all, so I'm still giving her the benefit of the doubt until I'm proven wrong. We were just doing our job, nothing more, nothing less." So OP does make a good point. There really isn't enough for us to go off of to really determine what happened. And that's obviously best left up to the professionals that'll be investigating the whole thing. And I guess now that I think about it, it's entirely possible that it could have been something else completely. Like, just because he was on sleeping pills doesn't necessarily mean he was completely incapacitated. Especially when you consider something like Ambien, where people are known to sleepwalk while on it. Then that could certainly open up the possibility that it was just a sleepwalking accident. But that also still doesn't explain the daughter's weird behavior, and why she was so adamant on the EMTs not saving him. That alone is really what makes this whole thing pretty fishy. I don't know man, this is a weird situation. What do you guys think about all this? Was she trying to kill him, or was it all just a misunderstanding? And this was r/entitled people, or possibly homicidal people. If you guys enjoyed, drop a like and subscribe if you want to see more. Stay beautiful everyone, and I'll see you later.